So good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Rural Life Summer Institute. We're glad to have you with us today. We will be talking about, but I'm not a reading teacher, strategies for literacy across content areas and why it matters. So my name is Linda, and I'm your session host, and Catherine will also be a session host today. And our presenter is Miss Candace Herman, and we are tickled to have you here with us this morning. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask in the chat or unmute and let us know what your problems are or your questions. And we are just, as I said, glad to have you here this morning. So I will introduce you to Candace. Candace, I'm on the hello slide.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm not sure if you got all the prelude this morning, but we were having a little bit of a technical issue. So I'm here. You may not be able to see me exactly in my messy background that I have, but I am indeed here. And we're so glad that you guys are here as well, rejoining us today. If you guys will take just a minute as we're on this introduction slide and rename yourself according just to what you see here. So you can do this by going to the participants list or clicking on your name. So we would just ask that you would put whatever subject area that you teach, just an underscore and your first name. And that'll just give us an idea of what kind of subject areas are represented today as we talk about literacy across content areas. And so you can see, I believe on this slide that Linda's projecting for you, an example would be like if Linda teaches science, she would have just changed her name to science underscore Linda. And that just gives Linda and Catherine, as they're monitoring chat, just an idea of, once again, the content areas that are represented. Linda, do you care to go to the next slide, please?
Yes, I am working towards that. I'm sorry. Okay. It was wanting to freeze on me there for a second. We're good.
Okay, are you serious? Nobody gets to say I'm sorry today. I'm so glad that you guys are in my corner and you are working so that all these participants today hopefully get something that they need and can use later. So as Linda said earlier, I'm Candace, and Linda, of course, is our host, and I believe Catherine's been made maybe a co-host as well. In any case, those ladies will be monitoring chat and taking control of this slide deck for me while I struggle with power outages and internet failure. Yay. I feel like I'm in the classroom again, and my principal just came in for an unannounced, right? Yeah. That's so how that goes. But if you do need to contact us, you should be able to see our contact information on this intro slide. And then if either of us happens to not be one of your NISWONGer coaches, you can also use the information. I believe that would be, you could be redirected to that on the VSI webpage itself. Okay, Zoom, we're all here Zooming. So apparently there are different ways to do this. I myself am on my phone. I feel like I'm yelling at you guys. I hope the audio is okay here. So I don't know that I have anything new to add to Zoom. I will just remind you guys about since I presume you guys are on a desktop, you have the option of double clicking and clicking escape, and that'll kind of minimize your screen in and out, because later Linda or maybe John will be dropping a couple of links, nothing too cumbersome. And it's the same materials, you guys, that are available through the website on the VSI page. It's just going to be that Pathways doc, so in a Padlet link. So there's nothing too crazy going on. So Zoom, yeah, we've all done this 100 million times. Thanks. All right, so far as accessing materials, like I said, you guys can find your session materials on the VSI Institute page. But like I said, we'll be dropping those links as well. So if you didn't get a chance to navigate to that page, no worries, we'll have that available to you. If you do happen to go to that page, you'll be able to see the registration page and some of the other sessions that are offered and have been offered. And I believe that if all of the slide decks are not already available, they will be available along with recordings, I believe, by the 14th. So you have lots and lots of options. I myself like having that flexibility. Clearly, I need it sometimes. If you can't view a session at the particular time that it's offered, you have the option of going back. All right, Linda.
We're on our learning space.
Okay.
All right. So, wow, I could not have scripted this any better. It can be awkward. Guess what? Here we are. Awkwardness. It is happening right now. I appreciate you guys rolling with this. But we're still going to have opportunities to have discussions, even though I'm kind of sort of here. So we want to definitely, this third bullet where it says, please share your voice so we can learn from each other. That's very much what this session is about today. So I can't see the participants list just yet. I may ask Catherine about that here in a minute, but definitely you guys are the experts in your content area. I'm not going to pretend to be a Renaissance woman and know all of those standards inside and out. We're here today to support your content and your kids and you with what we know about literacy. And so you're going to hear some practical learning today, and I'm so excited that you guys are with us. Catherine, if I can lean into you just a little bit, do you care to look at chat and see if folks have renamed themselves and maybe call out some of those subject areas that are represented?
Absolutely. You've got several math and science people here.
Awesome.
And let's see, we've got a speech. We've got a speech teacher, and let's see here. And let's see, I'm seeing science and math and speech, and I think that.
Okay, great. Can you guys still hear me? My screen's frozen.
Yes.
Okay,
I think maybe we just lost Catherine.
Yeah.
I also see art. I see art represented, ELL. We see some, Candace, some early grades teachers. So we know they teach all sorts of things. So I see a first grade represented.
Thanks, Beth, and thanks for jumping in there.
Oh, I see a band. That's cool.
It is cool.
Welcome, everybody.
Thank you. I'm so excited that you guys have chosen to join us today. Once again, just want to really reiterate this. You guys are the experts in your content area. We'll just be talking about how literacy can support, not substitute, but support what you guys have already got going on there. So Linda, if you want to go ahead and move on to that agenda, we'll take a look at how we are going to address that today. Yeah, you can go ahead and populate those bullets if you want to. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the way that we are going to take a look at, well, what are you supposed to do if you're teaching band or PE or science? And the list just kind of goes on. So we're going to try to, at the beginning, connect to the purpose of disciplinary literacy. So what literacy looks like specifically in your content area. We also want to explore a variety of literacy strategies to support content area literacy. So we'll take a look at the difference between content and disciplinary literacy and how the two of them can kind of complement each other. And then finally, at the end, we'll have a little bit of time to just kind of think about how you might want to use some of these strategies in a really practical way. Okay, but first, moment of realness. Let's talk about this guy, the elephant in the room. Thanks for showing up like on Friday in June to talk about literacy. You guys are clearly dedicated to your profession, but yeah, we'll talk about the elephant in the room here. So what does literacy have to do with PE or science or band or speech and so on? And why, oh why, have you been charged with the task of building literacy while teaching your own content? So if you guys will add to chat any other yeah, but statements you might have when thinking about teaching literacy in your content area. So once again, I think that's super cool that you guys have showed up today. But if you have any kind of questions or hesitations, you're thinking, I teach little people, or I teach, maybe you're a CTE teacher and we didn't see that, whatever your content is, any yeah, but statements you might have when thinking about teaching content area. So give you guys a few minutes to do that, and we'll monitor chat. But do remember, this is a safe place. We can be kind and honest. It's okay to be like, I don't know, I don't want to, how am I gonna? That's completely okay to voice that. It's really important for us today. We want to give space to you to voice your perspective. So once again, we're thinking about any questions or hesitations you might have about literacy in your classes.
Yes, back up. I'm back up.
Yeah, and I can see Stephanie's comment in chat, I believe. Let me try to pull that back up again. About literacy being present. I'm so glad we have some elementary folks represented today. I feel like literacy, really anything, little people in, whenever you're teaching the younger students, you guys do such an exceptional job of just embedding literacy, embedding everything. And maybe it's because you have them all day long in the same group, but yeah, I'm really pleased to see that. And then I saw Scott for just a minute. Catherine, do you care to pull some of those comments?
Sure, and I'm sorry, my internet connection went out, but it's back. Math out of word problems from Whitney, and 6th grade social studies. Told last year that ELA teachers' responsibility, but she wants to know more. Literacy is the basis of success in the real world. Students have to know how to read, write, and speak to be independent, successful member of economy. But finding strategies for teaching literacy is different in algebra classroom, has required much thought. It's easy with word problems, but finding other ways has been difficult.
Awesome. And was that Kristen?
Yeah, that is Kristen. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Catherine.
Did you know about the 1st grade when literacy is present in all content areas?
Yes, we really appreciate her calling that out. And I appreciate I'm not sure if it was Kristen, I think maybe for algebra, it popped up on my phone for just a second. Yeah, I love that. I so appreciate that you're able to see the big picture of this. Yeah, you need to be able to be, as a student, a productive human being one day. My goodness, take a look at the news. We need some productive, level-headed adults out there in the real world, and young people as well. I do appreciate the realness, though, when you guys are saying, yeah, word problems in math, but also what might literacy in math and so on look like. And so, yeah, thank you for dropping those comments in chat. That'll kind of help guide our session today just a little bit, so that, again, we can make sure this is something purposeful. Thank you all. Linda, you can go ahead and move on to the next slide if you'd like. Can you guys tell I did this slide deck with a little person with me, elephants? They're all over the place. We like elephants at our house. But I thought this was a cool graphic to just kind of represent this whole idea of, once again, perspective. So while we're thinking about perspective, we want to remember that each genre of reading requires a different literacy lens, just like each mode of writing takes audience and purpose into consideration. And so we change gears in our vehicles depending on the terrain and our purpose for the ride. And so we can also change gears or our lenses or perspectives when reading a variety of text for a variety of purposes. And we'll get to this, but just to clarify, when we say text, we don't necessarily mean just prose. We can be talking about how to read and interpret a graph or other kind of text that might be encompassed within your content area. So our purpose drives what we read and how we read. So when we think about, I think we had some science teachers out here, when we think about science, why would a scientist read, and what would a scientist read? What do they do with that knowledge and meaning making based on what they've read? How does their purpose for reading a text influence the lens or the way that they perceive that meaning? So when we boil this down to what this looks like in a classroom, we're thinking really just what kind of reading and thinking the students need to be doing in science class and so on in order to mirror this kind of real application. Okay, so I thank you guys again for dropping in chat some of those yeah, but, and y'all are so polite about it. I fully anticipated people to just unload in that chat and be like, this stinks and this is why. But you guys were so professional and polite, for real, even on a Friday in June. So thanks for that. That's always nice. But we are trying to be real about this. So if you're thinking, well, I'm a math, science, social studies, band teacher, so I need to teach my kids that content, not literacy. And then Linda, if you'll go click. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and populate that screen as well, if you don't mind. So yeah, you guys are absolutely right. Let's go back one more, Linda, if you don't mind. I know it can kind of get away from you. So if you're thinking, well, I need to concentrate on you're absolutely right, guys. You have built and are building your career, your time around that body of knowledge specific to your content area. That's fair. That's fine. That's exactly how it should be. But also, we want to try to understand that the student understanding of that content that you're teaching, that it is connected to their development as a reader. So if students aren't reading with comprehension in your classroom, it's unlikely that they're learning the information and building the knowledge about your content. So literacy supports student comprehension of your content, building knowledge about and around your content. We'll go to the next one.
Keep going.
All right, so if you're thinking, you can go ahead and pull the rest of those up, Linda. Thank you. So again, if you're thinking that's fine, but it's kind of all I can do to get through my gracious. I have heard this so many times, and I know I have said it. I know I have heard it in particular at the high school level. And really middle school too, working with different teachers who teach different subject areas. So yeah, that test, I mean, we'll be real about it. I know that that's not the be all and end all, but it is that ever present burden just like rolling around in the back of your brain. So it's hard to ignore that you have a finite amount of time during the school year to teach all of your standards. And so yeah, it can be super stressful when you're thinking about, and you want me to teach literacy too. So we'll try to change that yeah, but into a yes and statement. So yes, your focus is on supporting students, building knowledge in your content area, and that will prepare kids. If you are teaching science, if you're teaching history and so on, the content you are teaching in your class prepares those kids. But the good news is that this added layer of literacy is going to prepare your kids to be able to engage with text that you put in front of them, and it'll be able to support their proficiency. So you'll be able to see that proficiency demonstrated on assessment. So when kids read well, they learn and perform well. So we see that literacy issues are critical to student performance as well. Okay, so finally, what if you're a good sport, but you're thinking, that's nice, but I don't have any training on what this whole literacy thing is supposed to be. What am I supposed to do with that? Because once again, I'm focusing on my content and standards. Yes, you've devoted a great deal of time to understanding your standards, the depth of those standards, what they mean, how to make that real and relevant to your kids. So that part's awesome. We'll build onto that and remind ourselves that those same standards, those same state standards that you're referencing every single day when you teach your kids, that it has that literacy component in it, and it'll be listed as literacy skills, and it's on that very same document. So I hope that we can see that this is not an extra. Nobody needs anything extra at this point in the year. Really, in even whatever normal year is, you don't need anything extra. So this is not an extra thing that you're doing in addition to your content area. This is in fact a support specific to your content area. We'll go under some research, Linda. I'll give you guys just a second to kind of roll your eyeball across this research from Guthrie and colleagues, and then we'll talk through it. So maybe just a second to kind of skim through that. So we see at the end of this quote here, we've got a few things highlighted and italicized, I believe. So just be kind of thinking as we progress through this session, how do increased comprehension, conceptual knowledge, problem-solving skills, and motivation to read, how will those things support your class objectives? Again, we're thinking this shouldn't be anything extra. This should be just a support to your content. And then Linda, I believe we've got one more research slide. All right, so we see that Akerson and some colleagues here are reminding us that the very reading processes that can overlay any content, it parallels the process of inquiry, which is all over our state standards, probably some more so. I see like the inquiry process, like in a lot of these different content areas listed. So one supports the other in questioning, in establishing purpose, and so on. All right, we'll go to the next one, Linda. I think. Okay, we're gonna have a super academic moment here, guys, with Andy and Opie. They're gonna remind us of why purpose, perspective, and context matter. So as we view this really short clip, we'll think about instances in our own class where students understanding context or not may have impacted their understanding of content. So Linda, yeah, if you don't care to play that short video for us.
I'm trying. There we go. Maybe.
Thanks, Linda. Linda, if you'll click up a couple of times, we'll be able to see that math, science, and social studies on the left of that slide.
Okay, sorry. I just
Oh,
love
it's okay. I know I kind of get sucked in too. Thank you. Okay, so it was silly, but I swear, it wasn't just my undying like love for the Andy Griffith Show that made me pop that in there. The reason that I put poor Horatio in there, you guys, is because I was speaking with an exceptional math coach, and together she agreed to look at those math literacy standards with me. And I told her, I was like, I want to be real with these people. They're busy, they're smart, and I don't want to waste their time. I was like, why does a math teacher or math student, what do they really need to understand about math literacy? And without hesitation, this coach said context. And I immediately thought, oh, okay, like word problems. And she was like, yeah, that's part of it. But then she gave me a scenario, like this was a real life example. And I won't give you several, but there were several examples she gave. So this one that inspired poor Horatio here today, her students were given a problem in let me see, it was like on an airplane, they had to remove, they were overloaded. So they had to remove like, I don't know, 350 pounds. They were given the average weight of passengers, and kids were asked, so how many passengers need to be removed? So like the numeric answer, guys, was like, I don't know, like 2.12 or so. So everybody was like, oh, 2.12. Okay, but we did not take even a little bit the context of the scenario or the problem into consideration. So like you can't remove 2.12 passengers. That's, you know, messy and illegal, and you can't do things like that. So, and like I said, she had several examples like this, and I was like, why are we missing the mark here too? And so she and I had a good conversation about what literacy in math could and should look like. And some other things that we discussed, or some things you see Linda has put over here on the left-hand side of the same slide for us. We talked about those lurking variables, outliers, misuse of statistics, and the implications of graphs. Like, so in particular, looking at that x-axis, that y-axis, and asking ourselves, what story is being told in this graph? Being able to interpret that, but also maybe if, again, there are intentional or unintentional biases that are communicated, and that can have to do with scale as well. So, and I mean, the graph example certainly would apply to science and even social studies as well. In science, when we're thinking about why perspective, purpose, and context matters, we're thinking about things like historical advancements in science. Like, where are we in science? Like, where are we in this whole COVID thing as we're thinking about this, honey? We're thinking about real world applications as well. And then we can build on that and go on to social studies. Again, thinking about historical context. A really cool book right now that I got from the ETSU STEM MSP project. And it's talking about the influence of humans. Like, if we can't see the impact of globalization in the last year, like, I mean, it's for real. Like, if we got a real hard lesson, guys, and what's going on in China, what does it have to do with the lack of toilet paper in Upper East Tennessee? Like, hey, globalization. So we want to think about perspective, purpose, and context. And then I think, Linda, if you want to show that next one, like, we can always count on English teachers to remind us that context and commas save lives. We'll go on to that text rendering slide, Linda, if you don't mind.
Okay. My computer is not being cooperative at all. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
It's like it just it reset itself or something. I don't know what happened.
That's all right.
We are there.
I think we can go ahead and just pull up everything on this slide if you want to. There should be like, let me see. There should be two things. Yeah. And then it'll say sentence. phrase, and word, you can go ahead and click it like 2 or 3 more times. Oh, awesome. John has already dropped these links for you guys in the chat. So for this text rendering activity, this should just take a minute or so. What we want to do is we just want to take a quick look at what those literacy skills are listed for you guys. And again, this is nothing new. This is the same documents that you guys are referencing whenever you're creating your lesson plans, your pacing charts, your pacing guides, and so on. So for this activity, we'll give you some time to read your literacy standards. So if I teach science, I will click on that link that John has provided for you, and I will skip to pages 14 and 15. I'll skim through those literacy standards. If you're a subject area that's represented other than social studies, math, or science, that academic standards link, that's just that main link to 10 Ready. So I wasn't really sure what all subject areas would be with us today. So John has left that for you guys to kind of navigate. So once you guys have a few minutes to check out those literacy standards, what you'll do is in chat, you'll just drop in a sentence, word, a phrase or word that stands out to you about those academic standards. I will tell you real quick side note, like typically if you do this sentence, phrase, word protocol with your kids, you do all of it. For our sake, just for like time, and also since it's in chat, you guys can just pick a sentence, word, or phrase from your literacy standards. If anybody has a question, you feel free to drop it in chat, or you can even just unmic if you'd like. Are there any questions about what we're doing for the next few minutes? Okay, we'll take about 3 or 4 minutes to work on this, and I'm going to hush while you guys have a chance to open these links and eyeball them.
Hey, Candace, I'll add one tip for folks. If you're kind of navigating through your standards documents, you can use your find feature and search for the word literacy. And that is pretty helpful as you're navigating those sometimes very lengthy documents. So sometimes like on an Apple, I think that's Command F. And then John, what would it be on a PC? I can't remember. Is it Control F or?
Now say that one more time, Bethany. I'm sorry.
The find feature, like when you're trying to navigate to a word. Yeah, Whitney said yes. Control F
Yes.
for a PC, and then Command F if you're on an Apple. And then you can type in the word that you want to search for. So you might want to search for the word literacy, and you can see all the places within, let's say, a 90-page document that you might see the word literacy.
That is exactly how I find them too, Bethany. I have to do that. If not, I'm scrolling for days.
You know it.
Candace, you have a couple of good chats already coming in.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. Catherine, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. I'm scrolling through chat right now, and I'm kind of skimming through some of these observations. I see Jessica, who's representing band, is noting that just like language promotes literacy and so on. Reading, musical notation, expressive markings, patterns of thought. I like this exploring the analytical, the linguistic centers of the mind. I think that is really cool, Jessica, that you've dropped that in there. It reminds me of what we probably may or may not know, but like the pattern recognition is for little kids in particular, like that's the quickest sign of it's quickest indicator of intelligence. So that is really cool to note that is present as well, of course, like in music. I see Whitney dropping some things in about ELL, about comprehension, interpreting multiple representations, and being fully engaged with our text. Rhonda in biology is mentioning cross-cutting. Scott in social studies is noting a student's ability to read and interpret multiple text. Proficiency in ELA and social studies. Oh my goodness, AE to the men, like necessary to become productive citizens. Thank you for that, Scott. Mona is noting the importance of understanding vocabulary.
Do you see the Algebra 1 from Kristen?
I do. I'm checking that out right now. If you see something in that, you may be further ahead than I am, Catherine. If you see something in Kristen's response, you feel free to pull that for us, mention it.
Here's a 5th grade self-contained teacher, math, create arguments and support conclusions.
Thank you.
And then also, Kristen, communication in math employs literacy skills in reading, vocabulary, speaking, and listening. Mathematically proficient students communicate using precise terminology and multiple representations, including graphs, tables, charts, diagrams, contextualizing math. Students can create arguments and support conclusions. They evaluate and critique reasoning and analyze, reflect on their own thought processes. In other words, I think I'm reading in from that in math, you've got to be able to maybe put it back down on paper or verbalize it to ensure that they know it.
Thank you, Catherine. So yeah, I'm noticing too, I'll jump back into the slide deck here in just a minute, but I'm noticing too, Rhonda in biology is acknowledging, hey, guess what? Writing in a science classroom does not mimic that of writing in an English language arts class. Again, because the knowledge that you're trying to build is different. And so the approach is going to be different. So I think that that's completely acceptable and completely fair. A lot of times we try to have an overlay and we try to appease that, that helpful, that really vocal, really helpful ELA teacher down the hallway. And I think that that's great whenever we can see that kind of overlay. But I think it's completely fair, and I should have said this from the outset, to really respect and honor what you content area teachers, the knowledge that you're trying to build with your kids. And so I think thank you guys have done an excellent job of pulling this out. I'm looking at my tiny little screen trying to see all this, and I'll take a closer look at chat later. But yeah, thank you guys for being like so thorough with that. I really appreciate that. It was really interesting read. So like I said, if there are any commonalities or overlay there, you might see the potential for cross-curricular collaboration. So if so, we can start thinking about those strategies that could overlay in each class. But I just really want to reiterate this. Like this is not about like the newest and cutest graphic organizer. This is about finding the right tool to support the literacy, to support the knowledge that you're working on building in your classroom. So thank you guys again so much for dropping all that great stuff in chat. Linda, if you want to, I think there's another green slide coming up here with content and disciplinary. If you want, Linda, you can just go ahead and pull everything up on that slide. There's a few things on the right-hand side here too, and I'll just be talking through this while she pulls that up for us. So as we're thinking about literacy strategies for your content, and again, it's about your content, we want to make a distinction between content area literacy and disciplinary literacy. And as we review these distinctions, you might drop in chat the types of reading and writing a historian would do, a musician would do, a scientist, a mathematician, and so on. So whatever you think, and I'm telling you, like that's going to help. I hope that's going to help you to be thinking about that. It'll help other participants to see that. And I'm just going to tell you from a really selfish point of view, that's going to help me as a coach when I talk with other teachers who represent different content areas. I want to know like what in real life is a scientist supposed to be reading. We saw that a moment ago. I think it was Rhonda called out like that the writing is not, identical. And so the reading is going to be a little bit different too. So if you guys will just be kind of thinking about what kind of real reading and writing do historians, scientists, and so on do, you can drop that in chat, and Catherine might monitor that for us. And while you guys are working on that, I'll just kind of talk through these distinctions. So with content area literacy, we see some strategies for active reading on the left. You guys can read through that, but really this is about the ability to use reading and writing for the acquisition of new content in a given discipline. So this content area literacy, it emphasizes a general set of strategies that can be used across the disciplines to promote comprehension. So like for instance, you might see a Frere model used for vocabulary acquisition in science, social studies, math, literally any content area. You could see that particular tool being used. I mean, you can use it for vocabulary acquisition or just even like digging down into a concept, especially if it's particularly abstract. Disciplinary literacy, on the other hand, this is about specific processes, mindsets. You might think back to what we said about perspectives that people use to interpret or even produce text when they're engaging in the analysis of knowledge in those particular disciplines. So whereas content area literacy is really general, disciplinary literacy is very specific. The emphasis is on a distinct set of practices specific to your discipline. So like arguing a mathematical proof versus arguing the impact of a historical figure. So the premise of asking kids to identify a claim and support it with evidence, that holds true in both examples in both classes, but it's the execution of that strategy and how you as the teacher bring that to life. That's what makes it special and purposeful. Linda, I think there might be like 3 more bullets on this slide if you want to go ahead and pull those. And I'll just real quick just remind us what Shanahan, like leading reading guru, he says about literacy. He says that we kind of touched on this a few minutes ago, but it's being used differently in various disciplines and subject areas because those fields create different kinds of knowledge. The knowledge you're building in band is not identical to the knowledge that you're building in social studies. And so that creates knowledge differently, and it communicates that knowledge differently, and it critiques and evaluates that knowledge differently. That is all fair, that is all just, that is the way that it should be. We want to have, again, a body of knowledge about a variety of topics so that, just like you guys have said, we can be and produce hopefully well-rounded individuals when they leave our classroom. And so the strategies that follow on this next slide that Linda's going to show us, these are some tools that might facilitate that specific knowledge building. Linda, there are like 3 questions on this slide. If you want to go ahead and pull all 3 of those, that'd be fine. And again, I'll just kind of like talk through these a bit. So before we get to the specific strategies, we'll keep these guiding questions in mind, and then Catherine, I might ask you about chat here in just a bit since I can't see it very well. But for right now, these guiding questions, like here's where we're trying to kind of frame our learning today. We're thinking about what kind of reading and writing should kids be doing in your class? What kind of strategies support that reading and writing? And how are kids going to be keeping up with that thinking? How are they going to be tracking their thinking with that tool? And then let's see. Yeah, you've got the 3rd one. How might you best use those strategies in an upcoming lesson? All right. So once again, we're thinking, what kind of reading and writing should my kids be doing in class? What strategies will support that reading and writing? And how can I think about using those strategies? Linda, I think, or Catherine, I'm sorry, Catherine, I think maybe we might have some folks drop some things in chat. Do you see anything that we might need to address before we move on?
Oh, you're on mute, Catherine.
Thank you, Bethany. I have had standards that ask students having to write informational text, and discussing with my ELA teachers, we determined informational for ELA and social studies was different. I'm glad that the state changed the wording on the standard. So I think we're seeing some change and some clarity for cross curriculum.
Okay, thank you, Catherine, and thank you for paraphrasing that as well. So yes, to speak to that clarity, we really want to be thinking just kind of broadly, like, what's the impact of literacy of a literacy focus in your class. So what's your return over time? If you invest in literacy in your classroom, what are you going to get out of this as the teacher? What are your kids going to get out of this if you do decide to invest in embedding literacy? And then how do we get started with these practices in a practical way that supports your content and your student proficiency? And so Linda will take us to the next slide. And let's see, I think there are like 3 questions. You can go ahead and pull all 3 of those up if you want, Linda. They're animated, but you can pull them all up. So again, we're thinking about what kind of reading and writing do our kids need to be doing? What kind of strategy is going to support that reading and writing? So as we'll have that pathway doc here in just a bit that maybe John or someone else might drop in the next slide or so. But as we're thinking about, okay, there's a lot of strategies out there. Which one am I supposed to use? We want to ask ourselves these questions. Does this strategy, does it help your kids understand the subject matter, the text that you have put in front of them? Does that strategy support the reading that they're doing, the writing that you're ultimately asking them to do, or however you're choosing for them to demonstrate their proficiency? How does that strategy help your students meet the aims of your particular discipline? So whatever the primary focus is of that, is that strategy supporting that? And then 3 is just kind of general comprehension strategies, like what general strategies, like content area strategies, might you want to have just in your back pocket, just in a pinch? So we're asking ourselves, does the strategy that you, or strategies that you'll select, does it serve the purpose of the reading and writing we're asking kids to do as a measure of demonstrating proficiency? Does it help kids understand what they're reading and keep track of thinking so that they can do what you're ultimately asking them to do, whatever your end task might be? So is it supporting, are we on this continuum where we're moving toward that end task, that demonstration of proficiency? So like, is it some random graphic organizer, or are we using reading and writing? Are they being used as tools to construct knowledge? Okay, and we'll go on to this next part here. Okay, guys, so originally we were going to have breakout rooms, but life is happening on the internet today and with Wi-Fi. So instead, we're going to amend this just a little bit and give you some independent time here. But this is, you can see the first 4 numbers here. This is going to address like what your task is. And I think John has maybe already dropped that forced copy link.
He has, and the Padlet's there also.
Oh, okay, thank you. And that Padlet link, you guys, it's that link is on your copy of that pathway doc too, just in case you need it for later. So our instructions here, you're going to open your forced copy of Literacy Across Content Areas. I was going to model that for you, but I'm not going to I'm not going to ask Lynn to do all that for us this morning. So I'll do my best to just speak with clarity. So you're going to open your forced copy. Oh, look at her. What a trooper. And while that's loading, maybe I can try to orientate you to the page. Again, you guys have access to this in your materials folder. Like this first part is the instructions that I'm reviewing right now. What you'll do is you'll look first at that green box there on the left where it says key area. That's a link to a Shanahan. I think that's an article there where he talks about the difference between disciplinary and content area literacy. And then you've got, I'm trying to scroll on my phone like I can scroll, sorry. But you can see there, you've got several sources that are available to you guys. And listen, you might think some are more applicable than others, but I really did try to curate these. There's a lot of stuff on here, but like I give you my word, I did not just plunk things on there because it came up in a random Google search. These are sources that have been used and vetted by myself and other teachers. So once again, there may not be, you may not have every single one available to you or applicable to you, but let's see, you should be able to find something. I think
John, I'm getting some chat that the forced copy isn't working and denied and no access from some participants. But both came up fine for me, so I don't know.
Yeah, it pulled up fine for me too. I wonder.
I just tried it under a different name because I was afraid that maybe it would only be our foundation, but I tried it under my other name and the screens look similar as to make a copy. Can we can we try to click on that again and then just click the little blue box that says make a copy? And it seemed to work fine for my other organization. So I'm not certain there that it's a sharing issue. I think that maybe it's just it's giving them that warning screen. If anybody can verify that in the chat, that would be great.
Let me look, and I'm gonna try incognito mode and see what happens. Yeah, it's wanting me to log in.
Okay, I'm trying to pull a copy of the PDF version of that.
And Pam says that she was prompted to request access.
Yeah.
I've dropped a link, I hope. I've dropped a link in chat that should direct you to a PDF, so you wouldn't be able, oh, wait, I don't know if I can share or not.
It came up, Candace.
That's what it is, Lane. It's the sharing permissions. But I think that let's try that link and see what happens.
Okay, yeah, it should be a PDF, so I hope you guys are able to at least access that, but yeah, if it
Yes,
is,
that's working.
Awesome.
Yeah, if they use the PDF, it will work.
Okay, cool, thank you. Oh, Scott, you're awesome. Thank you for telling me, Stephanie, yes. Like I'm at my brink. Like I think I've like absorbed as much stress as I can this morning. So thank you guys for letting me know you can access that PDF. That's great. So and I will adjust those settings as well once I get to a computer that's working correctly, so that you guys can have your unforced copy if you decide to type or to annotate on this same document. It's really not a deal breaker. Really, I just want you guys for this session at least to have access to the links that are provided, just so that you have some time to explore these sites. And I'm trying to pull this up as well so that I can maybe walk you through some of them.
And I put the Padlet link back in chat again in case it got pushed off your screen.
All right, guys, I'm going to try this one more time. We're just going to try to orientate you to the document a little bit so that your eyeball is not so overwhelmed with all of these hyperlinks. In this first section here with content area literacy strategies under instructions and resources, you see you've got a list of different resources available. So the little icons that are to the left of each of those hyperlinks will indicate if this is just got like a bunch of text associated with it, if it's a video, and you can see the length of each of those videos there if it is. Or if it is an article, like this the first one has some ASCD articles associated with it. I did want to mention to you guys I'm not sure if I got this far a minute ago, but this first link where it says content area, literacy and discipline specific graphic organizers, there's like a lot of stuff that's in that. I started to pull that out. Linda, if you can, do you care to open that link? And maybe you're awesome. Thank you for doing that. And maybe try to find like one of the pages of the table of contents. Yeah, I'm looking. That says like 70 pages. Like you do not need all 70 pages of this. Yeah, if we can just find the table of contents here. Like I said, I was going to try to pull, really draw your focus to, the history bubbles or reading like a historian or scientific inquiry. But I feel like you guys know better than I do what your focus might need to be. So I'll just let you guys, if you choose to, explore that resource and see if there's something that kind of pops out to you. All right, and Linda, if you don't care to maybe go back to that Pathways document.
And Candace, we got a little humor going on here. Scott said to tell everybody, love the math guy sipping a Guinness.
Thanks for calling that out. If you guys will see, it says reflect and respond. And again, this is on a PDF version of this. So, you can do this just mentally, or if you want to scribble it on a piece of notebook paper, that's fine. But really, we're just thinking about those guiding questions. What kind of reading and writing are kids doing in your class? Which of these strategies, remember, which of these general content area literacy strategies might support that? And how do you think you might use that in an upcoming lesson? So like if you decide you like this hexagonal thinking digital tool, which by the way is super cool for a variety of content areas, but if you decide you want to do that and you're teaching well, I won't give an example specifically, but whatever content you're teaching, how that might apply to seeing relationships between, I don't know, people, historical events, I don't know, cells and their dependence on each other. After you get a chance to check out this part that's in green, you'll scroll down to whatever your content area is. So like, Linda, can you scroll down to just the first one? I think it's social studies. And so we've got a lot of resources here as well. So you guys already took a look at your literacy standards and did an excellent job of really calling out some of the things that we need to be attentive to in chat just a few minutes ago. So that link there, that's just the same hyperlink to that document, but it's here for you if you decide, you know, I hope you do, that you want to revisit this document and check out some of these other resources just like at your leisure. Again, that first link there is the same one that's going to be within each of these. The next two that you see there, optic, those are real example. Yeah, and still in social studies. Those are like, I'm highlighting this on my screen like y'all can see anything. Those are real examples from a collaboration between an art teacher and a 7th grade social studies teacher. And so when we used, I don't know if you want to try to open it or not, Linda, you don't have to, but when we got together, our planning involved looking at what their standards were, what their essential questions were, and we kind of went from there. We wanted to have an essential question and a standard that we could like weave through ELA, art, social studies, and this really was an exceptional team. But in any case, we use the optic strategy, and that's actually, guys, an AP strategy that kids will use later. I mean, it's an acronym. Of course, it's an acronym. Like, what else would it be in education, right? But in any case, the purpose of this was that, yeah, we see, where do knowledge and power come from? How do art and history interact? And so they choose, in this particular assignment, they chose a piece of Renaissance art, and they use that optic acronym to really do like art, like an art analysis, looking through the lens of how that art and how that artist impacted history and the acquisition of knowledge. Well, in any case, like, if that's your jam, you guys can check that out. If not, you feel free to just kind of peruse this and find whatever resources you think work best for you. So Linda, you can go back to that pathway doc if you'd like. The main thing is that you have some time to explore these now accessible links to you guys, and that you're thinking about those 3 questions in that reflect and respond. Once again, what kind of reading and writing should kids be doing in your class? Which of these strategies supports that reading and writing? And how do you think you might use that strategy or resource in your reading or writing? I'm going to let anybody who's a co-host here, John, Linda, Bethany, Catherine, anybody, like, can you guys tell me what kind of time we're working with here?
It is 11:24.
Okay, so do we have, I want to say like maybe 15 minutes on this, you guys. Would that work?
Yes, 15 would work, and you'd have 5 left.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Actually,
what I'm
10.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the math guy, Scott. Like, to me, that was like a Diet Coke, but yeah, I see the frost now. I'm going to hush and give you guys about 15 minutes or so to just kind of explore this. Feel free to chime in on chat, because I'm going to navigate back to chat, or even a mic if you have any questions. About 15 minutes just to kind of explore these sources. Thank you, guys. I believe we've got about 4 minutes left, 4 or 5 more minutes left. If you're not already dropping some comments or even questions onto that Padlet link, it's remember the link is in chat. John had dropped that, but it's also hyperlinked at the bottom of that Pathways doc that Linda had shared with you. So if you guys want to take a few minutes and maybe drop in what again, like the instructions say, list the strategy or resource and how you plan to use it in an upcoming lesson. And for you folks that are in band ELL or speech and so on, if you want to click that little plus button that's in the bottom right hand corner, you feel free to make yourself a column that represents your own content area, and we'll be sure to check out what you guys have to say about it as well. So yeah, maybe 2 or 3 more minutes, about 3 minutes.
Linda, is Candace going to be able to see the Padlet, or are we going to have to cover that?
I can see that right now, kind of.
Okay.
Thank you.
You want me to click on it?
Oh, shoot. Just 1 second.
I went ahead and did it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Linda. And I was just checking out a comment too from Mona as well. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. Yeah, like realistically, you're not going to like, burn through all this stuff in 5 minutes or so. So yeah, I hope this is a resource that you guys can come back to with your pathway document, that Google Doc that Linda had shared with you. But also you guys will continue to have access to this Padlet. Like I said, I know I'm asking you to do a little bit of reflection and kind of double dip in here, but I wanted you guys to have that Padlet so that you could have something individual. And maybe even if you choose to redeliver or share out, if that's your thing, you could use that as a resource as well. But I like this Padlet too, because it gives you guys the chance to think about, that's cool, that's a lot of strategies. How am I actually going to use them? So kind of priming the pump a little bit. And also it's really helpful, I hope for each of you, but it's helpful for me as well. As I think about the work as a coach that I'll continue to do with teachers in ELA and other content areas. So you guys feel free, if you're in the middle of the thought, you feel free to continue that on Padlet, or if you want to revisit it later, you certainly feel free to do that as well. Linda, if you don't mind to navigate back to those slides, we'll go ahead and wrap this up so we can get folks on their way with the rest of their Friday. And we'll check out that 2-lens reflection. I believe it's the next slide. And we can do this pretty quickly. We'll do this just in chat. So let me see if I can move here as well. Heck, it's great when it works. Okay, so as we think about our time in today's session, we just want to take a quick minute to reflect on our learning and takeaways. So we're just trying to frame our understanding and partner that with a little bit of action, which is what you guys were doing kind of in Padlet. So if you don't mind, just in chat to respond with these stems. I used to think, now I see. And if you are just in like a mad crunch for time or just don't want to type, you can just do 1 for I used to think, and then just use that as your sentence stem 2, now I see. So I hope that, I don't want to say I hope your perspective has changed, but I hope our vision for what literacy is and can be in content areas, I hope that we've expanded it and stretched it just a little bit. So you guys, I'm just going to kind of talk through this last reflection part here. But yeah, if you want to finish up on Padlet, or if you want to drop your reflections in chat, that'll be great too. I do want to thank you guys before I turn this back over to Linda. I want to thank you guys for your participation and your patience today. You guys were an awesome group. I wish that you could have seen me and I could have seen you, but I was telling the ladies in a private chat, like I'm probably a complete wreck right now where I've run my hands through my hair so many times, but you guys have been so great. Like, I know this is a cliche, but like truly blessed to have the support on this call, as well as some amazing engaged participants. So thank you guys so very much for your participation today. And Linda, I'll just turn that over to you and you can wrap us up with the survey if you'd like.
Candace, Mona in chat put a real good comment that I'll share. She says, as a 5th grade teacher, I can't wait to dig through these resources. Being able to cross-curricular can be so time-consuming. This will help me be able to use multiple strategies and save time by not having to reteach. I can keep building. And then Donna, she says that she sees there are numerous resources available. So I thought those were good comments.
Definitely good comment. And we're just so thankful that you're here with us today. I know it's been a little different, but different is sometimes good. And I think today it was really good. And we really thank you for attending this virtual Summer Institute session today. A recording of this session will be online soon, so just look out for that. And if you wouldn't mind, take our 1-minute survey, and it will allow us to reflect on your thoughts about the session and ways that we can possibly improve. And you will also receive a certificate of attendance for this session. The survey won't take long, and doing the certificate won't take long. And again, we thank you for being here today, for sharing with us. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Candace, wonderful job. Thank you so much.
Well, I don't want to say easy, but you guys definitely made it easier. So again, I really am being sincere about this. I really appreciate, again, all the tech support, the emotional and moral support, but like our participants too. You guys were an excellent group. I'm so pleased to have been able to engage with you guys today. Thank you all.